extraordinary and unprecedented announcement to preemptively pardon multiple members of his family.
Biden isn't leaving the White House without sending one last middle finger at Trump.
Is that a joke?
It looked like the Democrats weren't so much as going to put a whoopee cushion in the Oval Office, but Biden finally decided to fight fire with fire and issued a series of pardons to his family and other key members of the January 6th committee, as well as Fauci and a few others. This move is unprecedented and is sure to stir up controversy on both the right and the left side. But first, if you're enjoying the content here, make sure to like the video and double check that you're subscribed. I wanted to get into why Biden felt the need to issue these pardons, but first, let's look at the reaction from CNN when they found out.
An extraordinary and unprecedented announcement to preemptively pardon multiple members of his family. We are talking about Biden's siblings and their respective spouses being offered preemptive pardons. The timing just could not have been more remarkable, given that it came just moments after President Biden had ridden in the motorcade with President Trump. Anderson, as we watch President Biden take off, now that he is no longer the sitting president, I mean, we have been talking about all of the different ways in which he himself ended up tarnishing his own reputation in these final days in office, including reneging on his word to be a bridge candidate by seeking a second term, the decision to pardon his son Hunter after repeatedly saying he wouldn't. And then with this, the preemptive pardoning of multiple members of his family, it was back in December of 2020 that he told our colleague Jake Tapper regarding reports of Donald Trump at the time potentially preemptively pardoning his own children. He said, in terms of the pardons, you are not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons. It's just going to be totally different, the way in which we approach the justice system. Well, as it turns out, Anderson, there was another promise broken. That is exactly how he has ultimately decided to approach the justice system. And this is a decision that is going to raise so many alarming questions about the legal precedent that this now sets, and will have been really one of the very final acts for President Biden as a sitting president.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag. A lot of disappointment from supporters who see the Democratic Party as the party of decorum, the party of rules and regulations, of doing things the right way. And while I can understand their discomfort with these actions, we have to remember that Donald Trump has been relentless in their, witch hunt toward the Biden family. Now, we can all have a discussion about the power of political families, but there's yet to be any evidence uncovered in any of the investigations into Hunter Biden that showed any of the illegal, shady behavior that the MAGA sphere is always harping about. That's why they had to get Hunter Biden on a gun charge. It's funny too, because I thought they loved the Second Amendment more than their own mothers. So it's not a surprise that Biden would do something to protect his family and people like Milley and Fauci from MAGA's insane, conspiracy-brained lunacy. But this next clip does have some good points.
If you're going to do these things, I was covering the Clinton White House when at the very last minute, when the then soon-to-be former President Clinton was on his way to the Capitol, when they pardoned this billionaire, Mark Rich, who was a fugitive and had violated all sorts of sanctions against Iran and other countries around the world. It's just unseemly. If you're going to do it, have the courage to do it in the light of day and explain it to the American people. It's a stain on his legacy to do it like this. We can have an argument about, is it necessary? Has Donald Trump promised retribution? Yes, he has. But if you're the President of the United States who said that the curse of Donald Trump was that he didn't respect democracy and didn't respect norms, have the courage to look the American people in the eye and explain what you're doing.
Yeah, the way it was done suggests that there was something wrong with doing it. Yeah. He tried to slip it in in the final minutes, and that was
really the escalating rhetoric from Trump. Though, I mean, he says in the pardon statement, he said, this acceptance should not be misconstrued as an admission of guilt.
No, I know what he said. I mean, he said that. Yeah, I know what he said, but the fact is that Trump has been saying this for a long time. That doesn't explain why in the last 10 minutes of your presidency you
in the spouses
slip
names
a
I've
release
never heard
out
come
there.
out of Donald Trump.
It just made the whole thing look tawdry.
I'm in agreement with this. I mean, if Trump can pardon his father-in-law, then the precedent has been set for giving pardons to your family. So Biden should have done this pardon list earlier. He should have done what Trump did the first time when he was facing all of his legal issues. Call it a witch hunt, which it literally is, because in this case, none of these people actually did anything wrong. They're looking into their pasts, investigating them, in order to find a crime to prosecute. That's how they got Hunter on the gun thing, which is not what they were originally looking for with the whole laptop situation. So Biden pardoning his family and Fauci and Milley really should have came earlier in his presidency. It would have made him look like he was standing up to Donald Trump. He could have pointed out that Trump is trying to weaponize the FBI, which would have undercut his whole drain the swamp thing. And speaking of Dumpy Don, we got to see his response to the pardons after inauguration.
And I was going to talk about the things that Joe did today with the pardons of people that were very, very guilty of very bad crimes, like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs, where they literally, I mean, what they did is they destroyed and deleted all of the information, all of the hearings, practically not a thing left. They deleted all the information on Nancy Pelosi having turned down the offer of 10,000 soldiers. You wouldn't have needed 10,000. You could have had 500, and it would have stopped. Because we may have had 1 million people that day, the people that were there. You don't see any photographs, but we have a lot of great photos. But you don't see those photographs. They don't put them in. They show the people at the Capitol. But I was really going to talk about the level of, what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned. What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? I mean, Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying. I looked at him. I remember years ago he was actually on my side. And then one day, when you don't want to kill people in wars, they turn against you. Liz Cheney hated the concept of not going to war with everybody. Let's kill everybody. Let's spend a lot of money on military equipment, where her father works, right? And but what she did was incredible. We would have to go through the process because they destroyed all evidence. They deleted everything. There's virtually nothing left. The other fake story and so many other fake stories. And many people came out on our side, and those people now, we've got to find them. There's nothing left. So that's a criminal offense. If that were a civil case, it would be a criminal offense. If that happened civilly where you did that, it would be a criminal offense.
I know he talks about like the weave and all of that stuff, but if any of you have had to sit through a Trump speech, it is the most boring thing in the world. But clearly, he has nothing here. You can see that Biden made the right move because now Trump can't do anything about it but complain. Conveniently, he'll say all of the incriminating evidence has been deleted, so now there's nothing they can do. The same thing they did with Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, mind you, I'm not in love with the Biden family. Clearly, there's a lot of political and corporate power mixed together. I mean, look at Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio. But I know for a fact that Donald Trump, the man with 13 billionaires in his cabinet, and the man who just launched a crypto scam that's valued at $50 billion, like 10 times his previous net worth, is not going to address corporate corruption in the US government. While, again, I'm not in love with the idea of powerful political families protecting themselves while they pass around our presidency like it's a vape in their group of teenagers, at least Biden has decided to not be feckless in the face of obvious retaliation. Donald Trump's pick to head the FBI, Kash Patel, who I'll remind you said this at inauguration.
Under Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance, where we are going to end the two-tier system of justice, we are going to remove the weaponization of the intelligence community for political purposes, and we are going to put the men and women of America first.
Really? You're going to stop the use of the FBI for political purposes? Here's a short list of the people Kash Patel has promised to go after once he's in charge. You've got conservative names like Bill Barr, as well as Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Merrick Garland, Kamala Harris, Fiona Hill, General Mark Milley, Robert Mueller, John Podesta, Christopher Wray. Some of these names are the people that Joe Biden pardoned, in addition to his family. And now you see why. Because they already said they're going to come after them. So if I was president, would I do the same thing? Absolutely. The only difference is I probably would have done it earlier, and I probably would have told Trump that if he wants to investigate something, he should probably take a look into why his face is the same color of the inside of his underwear. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll see you next time.